few super chats that came in. The first one says, are Liverpool going to win the league next season, even if City sign Haaland and Messi? Can you see City getting Haaland and Messi?
I can see Chelsea getting Haaland. I was speaking to someone from Chelsea, and Roman wants him like really bad. He doesn't care how much he wants him. He doesn't, I was speaking to a scout, and he's telling me he really wants Haaland. So Roman's going to go after him.
On Liverpool, another big story that was circulating today is Real Madrid being interested in Mo Salah. The report says they may not have enough money. Now, I know you have Liverpool connections. Is that a player you think Liverpool would look to cash in on to rebuild their front three, or do you think it's almost impossible for anyone to sign Mo Salah?
First of all, this is really close to home because I was in Dubai, I think in January, February, and I think Ian's there right now, and I think he met with Rami, Salah's agent. So, yeah, I don't want to get too much into it, but in a nutshell, I just think with COVID right now, the clubs have lost around, the top 20 clubs have lost around 2 billion. So, totally, that's wiped away. That's wiped away from the market. So, yes, clubs can still spend 50 million, 40 million, 80 million, 100. Liverpool are going to sell Salah for 100. You're going to be looking at something crazy. You're going to be looking at something in the region of 150 plus. You're not looking at 100. You're not looking at 80. You're not looking at 70. And I think the only two deals I can see there is you got Salah and you got Mbappe. I know Bayern Munich are interested in him. I know PSG might be. So I think looking at the modern football landscape right now, if you're looking at, for example, if you're looking at from just strictly business point of view, this deal could be something bigger than just football oriented, where you could be looking at the World Cup, which is happening around, and you can get politics involved, and that might be able to fund it from one way or the other. With the same way the same way Neymar went to PSG.
Yeah, that was kind of the country sponsored him to be an ambassador to buy a contract. Yeah. Very clever bit of business.
Yeah, and Mo Salah is the biggest name in Middle East when it comes to football. I mean, just 2 days ago, he was on the face of the Burj Khalifa, the big advert with with Adidas. I think that might be more realistic. But from a Liverpool fan, he's staying. I think he's going to stay. He's going to stay. I can't see him going. So, first of all, even if someone did want him, and even, I can't see him going. First of all, it would have to be like a crazy bid for Liverpool. And, Liverpool will consider it, I think with Fenway Sports right now, I think Liverpool will consider it, but it would have to be something too good to be true. Then it works for him, it works for the club, and it works for everyone. Yeah. I'm only doing it if I'm getting Mbappe at Liverpool.
So is that something, again, we know that a lot of money's been wiped out.
Yeah.
Is that something you think Liverpool and Fenway Sports Group could they pull that off?
We could only pull it off. So here's the thing with Fenway. Fenway are not doing, if they sell £150 million from Salah, or 100 200 million, 180 for Salah, Fenway are not then taking out 100 and putting that to the side. If you look at the Fenway model, is if we make 150, they will put 150 back, right? Okay. That's how they operate. So if you look at when Fenway first came, the Moneyball, Boston Red Sox hadn't won the league for like 86 years. The Curse of the Bambino, it was called, And if you look at, I went to Fenway Sports about 4, 5, 6 years ago. The Fenway Park and Anfield is so identical. It's crazy. It's got like really old school changing rooms, just like Liverpool, And there's a lot of similarities. And then that model that Fenway have obviously implemented, and they've gone on to now have the success we've had with the Moneyball. And we used to basically, I always say this, we used to basically go to to the shops, and we couldn't afford to buy fresh apples and bananas. We would have to get them a day or two before they would expire, from right at the end. So the day before they expire for like 25p, you can't afford to go and get £2.25. I mean, how much ever they are, So, but what we had to do was we had to take high risk, or so we got Balotelli, we got Suarez, we got Coutinho. Coutinho was a 20-year-old at Inter Milan. not consistent, but lots of potential. We don't know if he's going to work or not. These are the players we took. And then obviously with the likes of Trent coming through our own academy, Robertson, that allowed us, all happening at the same time, all going well for us, that allowed us to then have a system in place, which we got 145 mil. We nearly won the league, just fell short with Rodgers. We never had a defense at that time, which is strong enough. And then that allowed us to go and get a manager who also just happens to hit it straight away. Then it allowed us to compete at the highest level by not going above them, by just being in it.
And everything else and what you did and stuff like that. I think it's interesting to hear. Again, we as football fans will always look at it from one perspective and maybe not from another. We had a few super chats that came in. The first one says, are Liverpool going to win the league next season, even if City sign Haaland and Messi? Can you see City getting Haaland and Messi?
I can see Chelsea getting Haaland. I was speaking to someone from Chelsea, and Roman wants him like really bad. He doesn't care how much he wants him. He doesn't, I was speaking to Scout, and he's telling me he really wants Haaland. So Roman's gonna go after him.
Wow. So like that's a legitimate story. Like this, not paper talk. That's Roman's number one guy.
Yeah. I mean, this is he's gonna go after him, and he really likes him.
What about Jadon Sancho? Can you see him coming back to the Premier League?
Or
coming to the Premier League? I know he's not played here yet, but is it a Man United front runners, or do you think someone else might slip in?
No, so I spoke to. So I'm really close to Bayern Munich, and for example, we had a few players from the UK that were heavily linked to German clubs, and I think Sancho kind of set the trend, and I think for Sancho to come back now, it's a success story. And I think if you look at what Callum Hudson-Odoi has been able to do, he was going to jump the ship to Germany. Luckily for him, it actually didn't go through. He ended up getting a bumper contract before he's even had 10 games in the Premier League, by the way. He's getting paid the same amount as some Liverpool players are being paid after winning the Premiership and the Champions League. Again, it goes back to the you got Liverpool players. Gini Wijnaldum, there's a reason why he's holding off, because he's like, look what I've done, look what I've achieved. There's clubs out there who are willing to pay me X amount, and he's right, because he's won the Premiership, he's won the Champions League. I think it's very important to Liverpool. So in terms of Sancho, I think Sancho would eventually come, but he's having fun right now. I wouldn't want to change it. United, I hate to say this. I thought Sancho to United last year wasn't a good move for him, and I thought it wasn't what United needed. United needed to focus on getting their stuff together and being where they are now. That is actually the best thing that's happened to United, I think. And that's where the focus should have been. You getting a Sancho last year wouldn't have helped. If anything, again, United would have basically just been, with a first with Fergie, we've gone to 8th, we're just going to go 150 mil, 110 mil, and we're going to fix the problem. And again, it would have been a distraction. Had Sancho come in and had the impact, I'm not 100% sure yet. I think him maturing as a player now, he's going to come back to the Premier League as more of a solid all-round player, not just with a potential. And I think I would rather see him hold on to Germany for a bit.
Do you think Man United, who are Man United looking at in this summer? Are there anyone you've spoken to, any kind of stories around United where you just saw there's some big noise, like Haaland to Chelsea as an example? Are there any big noises around Man United making any splashes this summer?
The only issue I've got is there's a few conversations I can't really say anything.
No, of course, yeah. I know that we tell you can't. I'm going to ask.
And like for me, like if I was involved in a few transfers myself, just out of respect for some of the other agents or the clubs, I don't want to say anything, but I do think United will be in a good space. I think again, United have the same problem at Liverpool, but the only advantage United have compared to other clubs is, commercially they're miles ahead. They are still somehow able to, as much as you may hate your owners, etc., you are able to, when you went down to after you've had a dip from Alex Ferguson, you were able to go and get a £90 million player. When Arsenal left the Champions League, I said it's going to be a long time before they ever get back, and Arsenal haven't been able to get a £90 million player. You know, Arsenal are struggling to retain the best players they've had, and they've had to give out silly contracts. For United, I think you'll be in a very good space. But I think the biggest thing for you, and this is not me now, I've been praising Oli for what he's done. I think the biggest transfer for you would be a world-class manager to take you from Oli to where he's got you, to then Oli to then an international superstar of a manager who then takes you to Premier League title contenders. That's what you're going to need. You're going to need someone, unless Oli goes in and does a Klopp.
Do you know what?
Which is football. Yeah, you can never write someone off.
I don't disagree. Look, I like Oli, a lot of time, respect for him. My view is this: I don't think the club has the desire to win the league. Right? It's a bonus. Top four's there.